Greetings, my sexy audience. My name is Marty, and I'm bringing you guys another gaming PC build. So I hope you guys are in a good mood, because I sure as hell am. So I don't want to make a long-ass intro. All I just want to say is thank you guys for all the awesome support you're giving me on the last video, the $800 gaming PC build. You guys really enjoy these videos. I enjoy making them, so let's keep them coming. So for today's video, I have a $400 gaming PC build, and my god, was that a challenge. It's really hard to make something good and something that plays most, new games on very good settings, but at the same time getting it in this very small budget of $400. So I did it. It's pretty damn good actually for $400. There's a lot of expandability and like a little, like how you like to say, future-proofness included. So yeah, I did think about the future as well. But of course, if you are building a gaming PC for just $400, you keep in mind you're not going to get the greatest experience ever, but still I think I managed pretty well, so I hope you guys will enjoy it. So without further ado, let's go straight into the build. For the CPU, I chose the AMD FX 4300 3.8 GHz quad-core processor. It's only $90, which is ridiculous, and it's more or less just like the FM2 socket AMD Athlon 2X4 750K processor, but it's clocked higher. It's also very nicely overclockable. It gets more or less the same performance, except in some places even better, so theoretically it is just better. But the best part about this one is that it uses the AM3 Plus socket, which means that after a little while, when you get more money, you can actually take this processor out and put in like a freaking 6 or 8 core processor, like the FX8350 if you want to. And well, get way more performance, which is really cool. So that's kind of about the future-proof thing I talked about. So with the FM2 socket, you can't really do anything because, well, the FM2 CPUs are more like mid-range to low-end like CPUs. While the FX series, you can get some really crazy stuff out of it. So yes, there is no CPU cooler in this build. You will be using the standard CPU cooler that comes with the CPU. It's not great, obviously, so don't think about overclocking with that. But if you do want to overclock, buy a CPU cooler and it will work just fine. For the motherboard, I chose an MSI 970A G43 ATX AM3 Plus motherboard. Now, maybe you noticed that I used something similar like this in my last build video, but that was actually the MSI G46. And I didn't notice much of a difference. I don't remember what actually was the difference. I believe the G43 I'm using here is more or less exactly the same, 32 gigs max memory. You can use all kinds of memory types, 1600 MHz, 1866 up to 2133. It has 4 memory slots, all your typical stuff. The only difference I really noticed is that both these graphics cards have multi-card technology, which is really awesome, but in the G46 motherboard, it actually said both Crossfire support and SLI support. Here it says Crossfire support yes, SLI support no. I have no idea what that means, because obviously you can put in both NVIDIA and Radeon cards, it doesn't matter, but maybe if you put in Crossfire, like, if you Crossfire to AMD cards, it's going to perform better, or maybe you actually can crossfire to AMD cards, but for some reason SLI won't work. I don't know if that's actually possible. Maybe not. But don't worry, if you want to buy just one single NVIDIA graphics card, that will work. But just in case you're wondering, in this build, we won't do that. We do actually have a Radeon graphics card by AMD, so no worries about that. Anyway, moving on. It's a great motherboard, and I don't think I mentioned it costs $70. It's $10 less than the G46. So for the RAM, I chose Crucial Ballistics Sport 4 gigs of DDR3 1600 MHz RAM. Yes, again, the same RAM I used in my last video, but that one was one stick by 8 gigs. This is one stick by 4 gigs, and this is $38. Pretty nice. Moving along, we have the storage. So I actually really wanted to go lower than this because I'm trying to save cash over here, but I swear to God, there is nothing lower than this hard drive. This is the Western Digital Caviar Blue that I chose. It's 1 terabyte, 3.5 inches, 7200 RPM. It's a great hard drive. But I was trying to go like for 500 gigs, but there is no point in going for 500 gigs. It costs exactly the same, around 60 bucks. Like, okay, maybe you save $5 or maybe $10, but there was no point in saving $10 for 500 gigabytes. So I chose the 1 terabyte hard drive. It's the Caviar Blue. It's a great hard drive. Western Digital is a great company, so this is going to be a great hard drive. 1 terabyte for a $400 gaming PC. That's maybe a little bit overkill, but hey, you didn't save much if you bought a 501, so what's the point of buying 500? So the most interesting part, the graphics card in this build, I really wanted to go for something higher. I really wanted to get the latest generation, or simply something from the last generation but higher, but I couldn't. So at the end, what I chose is an AMD Asus Radeon HD 7770 1GB graphics card. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, it's a great graphics card. But it's just, I really wanted to go for like an R7260X or at least the 7790, but I couldn't do it. But it's $100, and I shit you not, this thing can actually play Battlefield 4 on 1080p at ultra settings on 40 FPS. Yes, that's not 60, that's not that smooth, that's not going to be the greatest experience, and by the way, that is without anti-aliasing, just keep that in mind. But still, you can play Battlefield 4 and some other Battlefield 4 is one of the hardest games to run on PC right now. Crysis 3, Battlefield 4. So if you can run Battlefield 4 on almost the highest settings at 40 FPS, just you can imagine that all other games will run either the same or much better. So keep that in mind. And of course, the fact that it has crossfire support, you can put in another 7770 later once you have more money, and therefore you can crossfire them, you can get way more performance. So it's a good graphics card. And if you play Battlefield 4 at like medium settings, which still looks great, but you're gonna get obviously more frames per second, it's a good graphics card. Don't get me wrong, but if you do have some cash, please, if you can, go with a 7790, or of course if you can afford a 7850 or 7260X, that would be just perfect. So yes. Anyways, moving along, for the power supply, I chose the Corsair Builder 430 watt 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. It usually costs $40, but because of a $20 mail-in rebate, you can get it for $25 on Newegg, which is really cool. And it's 430 watts. It will easily power up this PC. It's by Corsair, a great company. Again, I choose more or less. I always go for good companies that I know are respected and will make good products. And you know, it's 80 plus bronze certified. Blah blah, all your typical stuff. It's a great power supply. Most likely nothing will go wrong with it. Nothing can go wrong. It's Corsair. Corsair is a good company. And last but not least, for the case, I actually chose previously a different one, a really badass looking case, and while I was making this build, it costed like $25, and I was trying to find a mistake, like, why is it so cheap, what's the problem with it? I believe it had like a $20 or something mail-in rebate, because once I was starting to make the video, it actually went up in price, so between a few hours, it went up in price to like $50, I think it was, and was already over the budget, so I chose this one, which is not as badass, but still, I guess it's good, whatever. So this is the Enermax, blah 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 blah, super long name, I'm too lazy to pronounce, and with a $10 mail-in rebate, you can get it for $30 on Newegg, and I guess it's big enough to, like, it's a mid-tower case, so I guess it's big enough to fit all the stuff you want to fit into it. I don't know much about it. I don't know what's going to be the cable management if you decide to do so, or I don't know how good it does, you know, air, like, ventilation and stuff like that, and if there's LEDs and blah blah, or even if there's front panel. Actually, let's check that out right now. Does it have front panel USB 3? Yes, it does, which is cool. So you have both front panel USB 3.0, and then you have back panel, you know, your USB 3 in the motherboard, so it's okay. I guess it's going to be a good case. Nothing can go wrong with it. And so while I'm making this video, before prices change again, as I'm making it right now, this build will cost you $411. That's right, it's $11 over the budget, but I mean, come on, you can find $11, right? And most likely when some of you will be watching this video, it will maybe even drop more in the price, so yeah, you might even be lucky and get this one for even less than $400. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. I honestly think it's a really good build, and once you get more cash, you can later swap out the CPU, you can add in more RAM, you can, I don't know, add an SSD, or swap out the graphics card, or add another 7770, it doesn't matter, but at the end, you can play games at very good settings. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Marty. If you want to see more PC gaming builds, leave that in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to make some more every single month. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.